Welcome to the Boricua Culture Mix. I'm one of your hosts, Wilma Lebron Moore.
And I'm Dayan Rivera.
And this is where La Isla meets the diaspora.
Échate pa' acá, te hice café.
Hi.
It's been a long week, but a good one.
It has.
And we are in episode 4.
I was about to say.
Episode 4.
Wow.
We're really out here doing it.
We are.
Wow.
Can I say, Wilma, thank you for the coffee.
Mi amor, you've called me out 2 episodes ago que yo te he hecho cafecito. So I was like, you know what? A mi amiguita, mi corazón de melón.
She really loved me, guys. She really loved me.
You got coffee twice.
You're right.
But yes, I definitely had to make sure that we empezara con el échate pa' acá.
Te hice café.
How has been your week, girl?
It has been hectic, but fun.
Okay.
Exciting. I think a little bit of everything.
I got you. All the emotions.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been scratching and surviving, crawling to Friday because the way I don't want to remember I'm employed.
Listen.
By Friday, 5 o'clock, I want to clock out and forget everything that I do and not remember until Monday.
Listen, that was me.
And now that the weather's getting better, I'm definitely like...
Spring is here.
Que viva la putería.
Tra. Pa la girl.
We're gonna get into it. Yo, we have so much packed for y'all for this show. Puerto Rico has been on fire with so much stuff politically.
There's too much going on.
Economically, musically. Like, girl. Let's get into it.
Where are we going to start?
Let's do a continuation.
Yes.
We brought the story of Rincón and the manifestations, the protests that happened because of the deforestation line that this project wants to construct like a bike lane and not respect that that's not what the town wants, and also the effects environmentally. So when we brought this story to you last week, it was 200 folks that, you know, rallied together and was like, hands off our land. Girl, what happened this weekend? How many people?
Whoa, I don't even know the exact count, but it was a lot.
Right.
A lot. Puerto Rico, you know, le dijo a la gobernadora, because everything came out, the governor of Puerto Rico, Jennifer Mentirosa, no se hace embustera. So every time that we're going to talk about, you know, the governor of Puerto Rico.
That's going to be her tagline.
It is. You know what? But let me put quote unquote because I have to.
Air quotes.
We respect to Jennifer Gonzalez.
No respect. Dale todo el falta de respeto. No respect.
But you know, your
That's
name...
just Josie being good. She's a good, kind heart person.
I am.
Para mí, pa'l carajo.
Ay! So, guys, please stay. Don't go. No, but
Josie's so sweet.
I
know we're going into it, but I just want to let you know, Josie's such a kind-hearted individual. I love her.
Thank you. No, I try. You know what? I try to see the good in people.
Some people suck.
Yeah.
They suck.
Yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, the governor of Puerto Rico, she expressed herself in a press conference, and she was
like a week ago, or was it like when she first got on?
I think now when the second time of the protest happened, she mentioned like, hey, this project is on, you know, going, and there's no way to stop it. So el pueblo, the pueblo went out and said, oh, this is what you're going to do, girl? Okay, we got you. So they went out, and I think thousands and thousands of people this weekend went to Rincón and protested in front of the project of where they want to do this construction of the cyclist.
Yeah, the cyclist lane.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want to do. They want to make a cyclist lane that no one asked for.
No.
But
we don't
however,
need that.
This is what they're doing.
Right.
So.
But it was very interesting. You know, it was very amazing. I share it on my Instagram and everything. Because it was amazing seeing how families were together protesting, you know, parents with their children.
Yeah,
and showing that to the kids how to fight for the country. That was amazing. And seeing that inspired, you know.
Yeah, and seeing these kids say, right? So, por ejemplo.
La playa. ¿Por qué? Porque no queremos porque se
Wow.
Que tenga la dignidad.
Wow.
So there's like about 4 little kids that were interviewed during the protest. And the one little girl is like, you know, we don't want this. It's going to dirty our beaches. And so the reporter is like, well, what do you like about the beach? She's like, you know, the seashells. Y que más lo sentían.
Yes. So the other kid, I love the other kid. The other kid is, you know, the reporter asked him, why do you care about this? And he's saying, well, we want to tell the mayor of the city, hey, you know, we don't need this. We need to have a place that we can go and visit, like a beach, right? On deforestation, is how you call it? So he said, we don't need that.
And
right?
he also said, come out.
And come out, right? Because the mayor to this day has not said anything. So the kid was like, no, you have to show up, show us why this is happening. We don't want this. So it was amazing.
Respect the dignity of the town. That child said, respect the dignity of the town.
Yes.
Ooh, the kids is going to be all right.
Yes.
Okay, the kids
I
is going to
love
be
that.
all right.
And it's just amazing seeing the parents, you know, showing this to their kids, right? Like me as a parent, it's like, I want that. I want my daughter to know how to defend her rights.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing this is like, there is a future.
That's why it's important who you make children with, guys.
Yes.
So don't just be out here making babies with anybody.
Mama!
Because you need someone to educate them. Sponsored by Dorex.
You know, that's an advertising not sponsored.
Listen, manifestation, fakata, okay? Because we gonna get them dollars one day.
Yeah.
But no, that was like so amazing to see. Like, and these kids are like no more than probably like 7, 9 years old.
Yeah.
That you can see, and like that. Granted, if they're mimicking whatever is being said at home, okay. But whatever's being said at home is sticking, and they're recognizing like, hey, if we don't do something, when we get older, we're not going to have anything. And that is what the whole conversation has been for these past 4 episodes, that we want a Puerto Rico we can not one just enjoy, but we can remember that is a resemblance to what we have, that it is our culture, that when we get there, it isn't just America 2.0.
Right.
Okay, baby J. But so these manifestations are still going. These protests are still ongoing. They are getting bigger.
They are.
The image that we shared on our Instagram over the weekend, I mean, droves of folks from all over the island. I believe there was a clip that another reporter had asked. I forgot to save it, but they were like, where did you come from? He was like, from the other side of the country. He was like, why wouldn't I show up? This is important. Why wouldn't I show up? And it's like, wow, let's think about a protest that happened in the neck of your woods. Did you even bother to get up? Like, this man traveled from the other side of the island and was like, nah, if we don't stand together, we don't stand by Rincón, this is going to pop up on our side. This is going to come over all over. So it was really dope to see him and just be very like blanketed of like, yeah, I have to. I have to show up.
Amazing. And, you know, and that's just why we talk about these topics, because I feel like a lot of us, la diaspora that is out, you know, we want to go back one day to Puerto Rico. And we want to go back, like you said, like to these places where we can enjoy the beaches, enjoy the family, enjoy the food, the culture, the people. And seeing that there's still people that care, that brings me joy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the way that we can help is by, you know, continue to talk about these topics, bringing attention to it.
Right, educating ourselves so that we can educate you all, the listener. So it's very, very important. And to be very honest, to see the level of the protests like grow from one week to another, que maldito orgullo puertorriqueño. Like, listen, the pride that swells within my chest.
I was crying.
Okay, the pride that swells in my chest to
cry a lot.
Our folks. Listen, it's okay. Crying is a superpower. Okay.
Yes, you're
you got
right.
some really pent up folks that really need to talk to the lady. They need to call and cry. But crying is a superpower here. But I think of myself and I was like, yo, if I was on the island, I would have been arrested 97 times. Because the way I would be there banging pots and pans together.
Absolutely.
Like my little revolutionary spirit, just God know what he did by saying, you know what, you need to stay over here. Because the way I would be arrested.
But it's to show, it's because you care.
Yeah.
And you love, right?
And
you
injustice, right?
Yeah,
I can't stand for injustice anywhere, here, there, everywhere between. And I think that's also what makes my career path of being an advocate super, super like big. And I advocate for all things in and out these streets, okay? Cueros unite.
we need those stories. We need those stories.
We need to. We ain't got no submissions yet, but listen, we know it's gonna take y'all some time.
Yes.
Some of y'all don't even know y'all cueros, and it's okay. And or even understand the word, right? Like,
right.
It is a very Puerto Rican slang.
Yes.
It is meant to be derogatory. To be called a cuero is kind of similar to like whore. Right?
Yeah,
or
you can say that. Yeah.
That way, not necessarily a bitch because we have our own little special word for that, which is puta. But it's kind of to be a whore, right?
I need to put the content explicit to this episode.
To like pues, Yo, I have lived on TikTok a little too long this week.
You have.
But no, so like it's Puerto Rican slang. It's meant to kind of like be called a whore. Things of that nature. And I know you're probably like, why the hell would I want to call myself that? Take back the power in the name. Yeah. Take back the power in the name, because who defines that for you? You, yourself. And more often than not, you were just figuring out your womanhood and got labeled a whore.
Right.
Because some man probably couldn't actually let you sleep with you and you got labeled a whore. Or you probably did let him hit and it wasn't that great. And so now you're labeled a whore. So if you're going to be labeled a whore anyway, at least tell your fucking story.
So people can learn from it.
They can learn, they can recognize, and they take that stigma. Like, right. I think women are way too hard on themselves with a lot of aspects of how we're brought up, right? You were brought up uber religious, uber conservative, or just brought up into the standards of what society is supposed to be, like very lady, like dainty, that somebody's gonna save you. They ain't coming to save you, bro. They can't save themselves. These dudes can barely change a tire on a car.
Stop!
Okay? These dudes barely know their social security number by heart.
Now they have YouTube, so now they know how to do it.
And they won't even do that. They're watching YouTube for March Madness.
Stop!
Go and get a certificate so that you can have more credentials other than your birth certificate under your name.
Wow. You know what?
Okay?
You're right.
So all this to say, like, I understand that the word could be derogatory, but the point of this all is a call of action to kind of claim that and then take the power back in that word and recognize that, like, I was out here dating. Like, some urban places call it your whole phase, or, just out here being great. Go through that. Recognize that. Write about it. Or if you're currently dating, and you want some advice and you don't really have a big sis or, a favorite cousin to talk to, or they shit ain't together, you definitely ain't, enough to be like, I definitely can't talk to y'all about this shit. Talk to us.
We're here.
We right here. And we have so many lived experiences within ourselves and whatever our peepers peeped while growing up. Because sometimes you don't have to go through shit to learn from the lesson.
Yeah, you're right on that.
You can definitely see somebody else's shit and be like, ooh. Let's not go down that path.
You're right.
Yeah, so definitely wanted to like just have a little caveat. Ooh, almost a little mic. Almost knocked it over. But yeah, so that's kind of like the context of the word and the reasoning behind it of like claiming that destigmatizing that word for us.
Absolutely. So speaking a little bit out of the topic from Rincón, that we're going to continue the next couple of podcasts to give an update on what's going on and how we can help, right? How we can help from la diaspora, and how we can get involved and help and, get a little more information on that. And speaking of helping...
haciéndolo bien. So last week we discussed this segment where we wanted to bring nonprofits or just causes that are doing really, really well for Puerto Rico. We wanted to do a highlight for them. And I keep like knocking the freaking mic. Ay, Jesus. But we wanted to make sure that these agencies are viable, right? That they're not just out here... that we're not just saying like, oh yeah, come through this and do that, whatever the case is, but we wanted to make sure that they are actually doing the work, that say that they're doing, that we're not just platforming something that doesn't exist, and that it is something that does really good work. So the first one was Comedales Sociales PR.
Yes.
Amazing.
They are.
Just continue doing el trabajo que están haciendo, like el alimento del pueblo. El pueblo se salva el pueblo. Like I love that refrain, like, right? The what is it? What would you call pueblo in this context? Like the town, or the country. The country saves the country.
Yeah. Yep.
So moving over, so that was more so for like fighting food insecurity. This next nonprofit is one that I got to visit when I went to Puerto Rico. It's called Nueva Hogar Mujer, Santa María de la Merced.
Okay.
And it's in Calle, Puerto Rico. It is a intimate partner violence agency.
Wow.
I was able to go with a group of folks and see that these women are superheroes without the capes. Like legit, like with the little bit of resources they have. If you don't know, there was a huge stat of like femicide and like violence against women.
It was a thing. It's still a thing.
Still very much a thing. So this agency does a lot of like workshops. They do advocacy. When we were there, we were able to see the facility. They were able to show us and take us to the courthouse. Josie, let me tell you what this agency does to protect women. So the way they set up like women when they're going to do like the abuse orders, like things of that nature, they take them to the courthouse, they sit with them, they're there with them, they make sure that when they're going into the courthouse, it is just the assailant and them, so it's not a público, right?
Okay.
Then I found out when I was there that in order to protect the person who's being harmed, you know that your job can also apply to keep you like
protection?
Yes, like a protective order against you, especially if the assailant has come up to their job.
Oh, wow.
So you could do it, your family can do it, or your job can do it. And I just thought at that time I was a victim advocate over here in the States. And I was just like, how many people have lost their job?
Right.
Because
they don't know about this law? Is it a law?
Well,
or is it...
It's particularly in Puerto Rico, it is a caveat that they can do it. I don't believe they're not federally wide. And every state is different, right?
Okay, yeah.
Depending on your state and what our rights are afforded to you. Currently, I will live and work in the state of Pennsylvania. I believe that your employer cannot do a protective order against your assailant. Only you can. But however, there are 24 hours, so you can go down to the courthouse if you live in PA, no matter what time. I will say I'm going to always be honest as I am. I'm putting on my advocate hat. I'm putting on my career hat. It is going to be a long time. So if you got to go there and you don't have childcare, you want to pack the kids snacks, you want to be there and make sure that it is not a 1, 2, 3 situation, unfortunately. But if you need the protection, please go. No matter what time, the judges are on call. They'll give you that protective order. It's about 30 days, I believe it's good. And then you're going back to court to see the case in full and then discuss long-term in the state.
Got it.
In Puerto Rico, the protective order can be done by you, your family member, and or the job. So that was like very eye-opening, another level of protection, because with intimate partner violence, also known domestic violence, a lot of times folks don't know that they're a victim. Right? They're just like, oh, he gets mad or she gets mad sometimes, and this is just our normal dynamic. And it's like, no, you're being physically harmed or abusive, financially abusive, spiritually abused, emotionally abused. That is not a normalcy. And so these women here, and I say women because at the time that was all who we received. So if they do have male workers, they may have them at that time. But when I went there in 2019, it was a team of about like 4 to 5 women who were out here doing their absolute best with the resources that they have. They had a wonderful campaign called Que Nadie Te Quita Tu Brillo, Let No One Take Your Shine. And they were just brilliant in how they would like put their information away so that when a woman goes to grab and leaves. And I'm so sorry if I keep saying a woman. I need to be a little bit more gender neutral in this space. But when someone finally decides to leave, most of the time you can't grab your things. So
Right.
they put certain contact information, and I don't want to give it away to keep people safe, but they put certain contact information in very everyday items so that the person can grab them, and once they're in a
Got
safe place,
it.
they can call
Oh,
and
okay.
say, hey, I finally left such and such. I don't have anything. I'm here with the kids. What's my next step?
Wow.
So they do a lot of things. I think they they receive donations for clothing, food, all types of situations and resources that they receive to ensure that these women are safe. And I was just in awe of, like I said, what little resources they have, the big
Yeah.
impact that they do, the way they are keeping their clients safe. And this is ongoing,
Wow.
I don't know if you know the statistic, but it takes a victim 7 to 8 tries before they finally leave.
Wow.
And that's why we have to be a little bit more empathetic when we
Absolutely.
ask, well, why didn't you leave?
Absolutely.
Why didn't you leave your dusty ass job? Right? Why don't you leave your dusty ass job? Oh, because you recognize it's not that easy. The same thing for a woman. And if anyone is going through something like that, I just need to let you know, if that person puts his or her hands around your neck at any time that you all are physical, the rate of that person being willing to kill you is exponentially high.
Ooh.
Exponentially high. So if ever you have been in a situation where that is part of your current life circumstance, understand that you are in constant danger. Please seek out these resources.
And there's help.
And there's help. And so for those who are
And you're not
here
alone.
in the States, specifically PA, is Congreso. Congreso has a domestic violence unit. They are amazing. They have some great warriors on their side that help out. The way they protect clients, like, you would think the way to get on that floor is FBI clearance, because
Wow.
they take the level of safety so real. So if you ever need a stateside resource, for instance, in PA, where I'm from and where I currently work, Congreso Domestic Violence, they also have a network with Women Against Abuse, War, and Lutheran Home. So there's a vast network that they're connected to that goes with the hotline as well.
Oh, wow.
So stateside, you have Congreso. On the island, it's Calle, and they are connected to 8 other places in Puerto Rico. So it's not just in Calle, but that was just the place that we went to.
Okay.
So they're in Ay Bonito, Calle, San Juan, Arecibo, Humacao, Vega Alta, Caguas, and Juncos.
Wow.
So that network
they're
is
connecting the whole island.
And they do emergency services, legal, financial services, counseling, housing support, children's services, community education services. Just wanted to give a shout out to that amazing organization. And before we started, we probably should have put a trigger warning in that we were going to be talking about such a heavy situation. So my apologies, as we are just rolling here.
Yeah.
But please, if anything that was said trigger some things, please take care of yourselves at your home. Take yourself a moment. But we want to make sure that we are highlighting amazing agencies statewide and diaspora-wide and island-wide of the great things that they're doing, because this is the point of this whole entire podcast, is that connection, right?
Yes.
That overlap.
Yes. That connection, and that there's help. And that we can help each other, build each other. So we talk about a little bit of everything, right? And like Roma said, some topics might be very triggering, but we're just here to provide a space so we can talk a little bit of these topics and be able to educate and for us to learn, right? We're not the experts in none of these topics. We just bring the topics, and eventually we will bring some experts in these topics, because we definitely want to continue to advocate, right, for everybody. So if you guys know of anybody that has any expertise, I would say, in these topics, please refer to us.
And want to yap with us?
Absolutely.
So I make great coffee.
Yes.
Josie's fiance makes great chicken Caesar wraps. But no, we definitely want to make sure that we make that connection and continue, because we started this idea with, these are the things that we care about.
Absolutely.
Right? And I know that if we are like-minded there are other like-minded individuals. So
Yep.
we're educating ourselves to make sure that we're educating the masses. Josie and I are doing research throughout the whole week, actually. The way our inboxes are crazy.
It's crazy.
It'd be like 3 TikToks later and then be like, oh yeah, good morning. How's the baby? But we are doing constant research. And from one little TikTok, I could be stuck on Google for hours to make sure that I'm like abreast of the situation. So we're making sure that we're doing our due diligence. We want to be bringing the information to you guys as crisp and clear as possible and making sure that we're doing those right connections. Right, guys?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And to jump, no, I don't want to jump to another topic, but segue. Thank you for the, look at this, SAT. Okay. Because
I got a degree.
Okay. You know, and the bilingual in me.
Okay.
You know,
we both got degrees.
Hello. No, but we always we were saying earlier, we want to talk a little bit about everything. And one of the things that we love to talk is about music and entertainment as well. And this week, I get a TikTok from Wilma and saying, look at the next big thing. And I'm like,
question mark.
Who?
Right? Question mark.
So who is this kid that you found on TikTok?
Hold on. That was not the visual, the audio that I wanted to give you. Give me 1 second to get to my save.
Mind you, I'm over here looking at the video that she sent me. I was like, who is this Nicky Jam wannabe? Oops. Sorry.
Ooh, so here we go. First,
he's cute.
He's a cutie patootie. He is.
What's his name?
His name is Mattei y de punta with the I PR is what his TikTok is. So listen. So this is... Hey, dale.
Okay. Oh. Very old school.
Very old school. It's giving 1998 Honda Civic.
Okay. He reminds me a lot of Nicky Jam.
Yes, so this popped up on my TikTok because my TikTok is very de la isla.
Puerto Rico.
Okay, very Puerto Rico. You like 2 things and the algorithm is like, oh, you want to go back to the island?
There you go.
So I was listening to it and I was just like, yo, Josie, have you heard of this kid? And she's like, what the hell? Who is this guy? Right? She goes, he gives me very Nicky Jam vibes.
He does.
Then, because the FBI agent on my phone be working, next thing you know, I see the TikTok of Nicky Jam lip syncing
to the song.
Nicky Jam, Zion from Zion and Lennox, I believe Jake Willis or something.
Okay.
They're all
Jake Willis,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
They're all like, subiéndole la canción.
He's cutie. He's a cutie.
But tell me why this is the only song on this kid's profile.
It's the only song.
He
just released this in March.
The beginning
So
of
a couple
March.
of weeks. So about the TikTok, he was very strategic about posting this. He did a couple of TikToks from last year because I went and
did the deep dive?
Yep, I did a journalist research very quick over here. And he started
degree.
Absolutely, you know how it is. So I started researching the kid, and the kid is like, okay, he hasn't put a song out. This is the first song. He did it on TikTok, and it's called Pa la Girlas.
Pa la Girla. And it's very reminiscent of old school reggaeton.
It is.
Because old school reggaeton was very heavily influenced from that of dance hall and Jamaica and they weren't gonna say girl. They were gonna say girl or la gial.
Girla.
Or la gial. Yeah, la gial, right? And then of course it's his way of playing on words, girla, perla, murder. It's very cat in the hat rhymes. However, it works.
Not the however, No, but when I saw him, I was like, wow, I didn't know how big the kid is, or how TikTok made this kid so big. And seeing all the new, the artists from
embrace
him has been very interesting, right? And
mind you, one song out, nothing else. We have nothing else.
Crazy. So let's see. We're gonna keep an eye on.
Hold on, Josie's not telling the full story.
Oh, here we go.
Cause tell me why this one little song. She was like, "Oh, I like it," but you ain't like Bad Bunny.
Listen, we talk about this.
No, but let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
But Mattei represents you.
He doesn't represent me, but I like the song.
Oh.
You know?
La
But no, but I think...
murder.
No, I think...
What part of that represents you, Joey?
Para girla de la perla.
It is a good beat. It is.
It's the beat. It's the beat for me. No, I think, and I think we talked about when we talk about Bad Bunny, is that Bad Bunny came out with the trap. And trap is very explicit. Well, trap in
and
Spanish.
that time too, that genre was new. That
It was
subgenre
new,
was
but
new.
it was very new. But for me, I think it was more that it was very, very explicit. Reggaeton is very explicit as well. But I think when it's commercialized, I think it's it has to be a little bit more cleaned up.
But this is also nostalgic, right? That life,
yes.
What Mattei has come out with is
and
very
I think that's what it is. Yep. It's very like that reggaeton, old school. And I think when Bad Bunny came out, like I was saying, like I had the disconnection, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't see what everybody was seeing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So after I was like, wait, girl, wake up.
Right.
And that's where I can see, okay, now I understand. Yeah. And, it's the lyrics. The lyrics for me spoke more. And, the rhythm makes a song.
Yeah.
And this one, I was like, pala girl. I've been over here, like,
Me and her, like grasshopper. Up and down. Up and down. Insert grasshopper emojis.
Yes.
But no, I was just teasing Josie. We were having conversations off the pod. And I was just like, I can see how this is something that is very... I can see the fire behind it because of its nostalgic.
It's nostalgic.
We are seeing the kids of the grown-ups raised off this generation grow up and pay homage to the genre, right? That because there's some songs that come out now you cannot get me to agree that it came out 20 years ago.
Right.
That came out yesterday.
Exactly.
Did you know Dile is 20 years old?
It's crazy.
Crazy.
That's my favorite. That's one of my
20
favorite songs.
years ago.
Crazy.
Little Wilma was graduating high school.
Wow. 20 years. That's right.
Blasting it in my Toyota Camry.
That's right. Wow.
Barrio Fino came out in 2004, bro.
That's crazy. Are we getting old?
No, we're getting better.
There you're right.
Okay. But so, keeping it on the music scene, right? Then we have this other viral...
Listen. That's all you, girl. That's all you.
Listen, so we have this other viral clip that's going on TikTok.
Mind you, go on TikTok and type, what is her name?
Jory.
Jory. With a Y?
With a J.
With a Jory?
Jory.
Jory PR, I guess?
I think it was, hold on. Let me look her up, even though when I pull up my...
When I heard, when she put this audio, guys, just stay in the pod. Okay. We're not that cafre.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can blast it.
Yo, okay, explicit content, guys.
The
fact that you know the song. Who are you? Where's Wilma? Bring Wilma back. I can't.
Yo, one of the lyrics is like, your mom was a side chick. How disrespectful. Yo. I love it. No,
it's Huelebicha for me.
Oh, yeah, she called me a dick sniffer. I don't know. Oh my God. I got nothing else for you. But I heard this and it's like, okay, lyrics awful. Awful. However, beat amazing. Then you get into the level of disrespect and I'm like, I'm there because have you not ever wanted to curse someone out that way?
You're right.
I have.
You're right.
I still do.
I give you that.
I still do. There's a long list of people that if you give me a chance, I want to tell them that their mom was a side chick.
Yo!
So I'm with the shit.
Yeah.
However, I can also see this being super problematic.
It is problematic.
But it's also great because the same way that reggaeton was underground and raw and rugged.
Do you think I'm seeing it like that because she's a girl?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, because women are not supposed to be this.
But I used to see Bad Bunny that way too.
He was also saying some wild shit too.
Well, hello, and Jory, is it?
Yes,
Yo!
I agree. However, because two things can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
However, I can see why people like it too because of those underground days. You don't remember Hagamos el amor con la ropa, right?
You're right.
Very dusty lyrics, but you had a nice little beat.
Yeah.
The singer was singing it, right? Or you remember the reggaeton con sex era?
Yeah.
Where we get Plata uva de
Plame,
plame y mano
garete,
lo que quiero es una gata
para darle.
Guata uva. Sorry. We got transported.
This is what happens. This is what happens.
But right, what are they talking about there? They're not talking about let me hold your hand, hold your books, go pray with you.
Stop, not the books.
Okay? They talking about let's get it popping. Right?
You're right.
But it was catchy.
It was.
And it wasn't so super in your face the way Huele Bicha is, but you know, there was reggaeton has transitioned and evolved in so many eras.
Yeah.
But there's also these core spaces of it that's coming out. Whether this is a joke,
they need that.
You
they
know,
need that,
whether Jory's so from what I understand, she's on SoundCloud.
Okay.
So whether this is a joke or whether this is the career, we also have to look at the spaces for all artists to come in.
Absolutely.
I mean, because in the spaces where Yalin, la más viral,
stop.
exists.
Don't go there, please.
Bing, boom,
don't do that to me.
Bing boom.
Nah. While you talk about that, I'm gonna sip on my coffee.
But right, like these are the spaces that these artists exist, right?
Yeah.
If you look at hip hop, right, even though Cardi B exudes personality, when she first came out, people weren't trying to take her seriously,
You're right.
They were like, "Oh, you've been on that Love and Hip Hop show.
Yep.
You know, you out here, you know, just being this, that, and the other." Soon as Bodak Yellow came out, oh, we was all bloody shoes. You know what I mean? Like in it. And then when I think it's Invasion of Privacy came out, her album, we was all blasting it.
Yep.
Where Bad Bunny was also on there.
Yep.
Hey, right?
You're right.
You know, so like this involvement of, let's say that this is something she came out with and she might have some fire after her. The same way this is that one song for her and that one song for Mattei, we got to see what's the follow-up.
Right.
And then really make a decision, because who's the other artist, the rapper that came out, Doja Cat. When she first came out, she did Moo, I'm a Cow.
Yeah.
Right? Freaking stupid ass song. Or Bitch, I'm a Cow, or something like that. And then when she got some development behind, she dropped some fire songs,
she
right?
did, yeah.
Right? So, again, is it because we now have social media, it is the get my name in your mouth and then I will present the full talent?
Well, yeah, it's always been like that, though.
Not always.
Well,
because before when you had to be a packaged artist, your one shot was, this is the song, this better hit. Was so the introduction of social media, I feel like now it's like, oh, we can play and then we can give them a little bit who this artist is.
I don't know, because like I'm going back, like when boy band was a thing, like they're not the best singers.
Yeah, but they had a machine behind them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
they may not have a machine behind them.
Well, now with social media, you don't need that machine. Well, you might kind of, but before it was just a machine of, you know,
the background, the backers, the investors.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's always been there. It's just that now with social media, it gives the opportunity for people that don't have that, you know, that big group of people and money and putting in them, you know, have the opportunity. Yeah.
Speaking which, why not? So, again, baby girl been living on these TikTok streets, bro. Because one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save me a little TikTok-y clip. I'm going to send it over to the co-host and be like, thoughts?
For the pod.
That
would be the response. For the pod.
Their thoughts and prayers.
You know that he's going to be a dad?
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, oh my God, I didn't tell you. So there's a chisme that happened.
Dame el chisme.
So, for those that watch La Casa de los Famosos.
It was House of Famous.
Yes. And I can't say it, but, you know, look it up. So there's this in the show. There was this girl. Her name is Erube. She was. Yep. I think she's like a tech influencer. I don't know who she is, but she was bestie with Lele Pon. Lele Pon is Waina's wife.
Ooh.
Homegirl goes on the show and says that her best friend is expecting. Why Lily Pond unfriend her on Instagram?
Because why are you sharing my...
Exactly.
Why are you sharing my news?
Wild.
Before we get into this other guayna thing, just, folks, if it's not your news, do not share.
Exactly.
My promotion, my wedding, my baby that I created, my divorce, God forbid, if someone was ever to get divorced, like, that is not for you to announce.
Exactly.
Respect when someone says, actually, you know, I'm gonna let people know on social media when I want to let people know.
Exactly.
I get that you could be excited,
but
if you see yourself sharing other people's news, check in with yourself as to why you ain't sharing your own fucking news. Okay? Because you should have some news of yourself. Because why is your edges dry? Yeah. That's some news. That is some news.
I can't. Let me go back to my coffee.
But no. So let's get into Guayna. So he is being interviewed on a pod and discussing, like, why wasn't he a bigger artist coming from Puerto Rico?
No, so I think the thing was because everybody was saying, oh, you're a one-hit wonder with Rebota.
Yeah.
That was his big hit.
His biggest hit so far.
Yep, and this is what he said.
Mala costumbre de encasillar a la gente. Que pues obviamente el Guayna Puerto Rico y el Guayna en el resto del mundo son dos mercados totalmente diferentes. ¿Cómo tú has podido bregar con esa diferencia de personas?
Es una muy buena pregunta. Al principio fue bien difícil para mí. A mí se me rompió el corazón en 1000 pedazos, cabrón. ¿Sabes? Yo me destruí emocionalmente porque tenía una ilusión muy grande con mi país. Yo amo mi país. Y yo pasé de ser, cabrón, el ídolo puertorriqueño, el nene más cool, a ser el buleado, cabrón, porque la gente me decía, tú eres un one hit wonder. Pero a mí eso me afectó grandemente, porque decía, esta gente no ve en su plataforma o mi canal de YouTube cuántos videos hay con 100 millones de views. El issue con Puerto Rico es que Puerto Rico es un pueblo, al ser tan pequeño, es muy manipulable. Y ese es el problema que tenemos también con la apreciación política, por ejemplo. Por eso tenemos 72 años de bipartidismo.
Okay.
Y aparte de eso, encima súmale que los cantantes dejan de ser cantantes en el momento en que se pegan. Tú eres cantante con una ilusión de pegarte, pero cuando tú te pegas, tú dejas de ser cantante y te conviertes en una corporación. Y en mi caso en particular, yo nunca quise firmar con nadie porque yo no quise nunca que un bichote me metiera chavo.
Wow.
Entonces, cuando tú te conviertes en una corporación, pues, ¿qué pasa con las corporaciones pequeñas?
Todo es profit-based.
Se las comen las grandes, cabrón. Abre un banco, vete. Y empieza a tener éxito para que tú veas como popular te va a volar la cabeza. Porque it is what it is. Es el mundo del negocio, cabrón. Y la música no es la excepción. Lo que pasa es que la música se mezclan unas cosas con otras que es un poco más complicada la conversación, ¿verdad?
He said, I'm not going to get into it because I ain't going to get the mouthful tools on me.
Exactly.
But in a full paraphrasing translation, you know, he had his heart broken because he was at one point at the top of the top charts with Puerto Rico, and he went from being that guy, you know, into being super an idol, right, to being a kid that's like pretty much bullied and a laughing stock. And what he said was, one thing about Puerto Rico is it's very manipulable. Yep. Okay, that's the English word. All right,
I think so. I don't know.
You know what?
Manipulable.
Exactly.
Say
I saw a meme that said, if you correct my Spanish, that's the colonizer in you. And that's why I'm going to go. That's why I'm going to go with it. Okay, so I said what I said.
Yep.
So he goes...
Google it.
So he goes, you know, the thing about artists is we want to make it big, but once you make it big, you stop being an artist and you start being a corporation. And that's where things happen. I never wanted to be a corporation.
Right.
And what he says was, I also didn't want some bichote to throw some money on him. Bichote is that the head drug dealer boss that owns a few projects and is out here and may throw a little money behind an artist so get a return on the investment. And he's basically like, I never wanted that.
Right.
I wanted to be independent, and because the country is very easy to manipulate. That's why we had a two-party system for 72 years. That's why we've had all these other things. And he gets into the conversation of the music business is just like any other business, and he goes like, and there's some other things that get mixed to it that I can't get into right now. So old boy is trying to save his life, and I get it.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, he has a very valid point that when he mentioned about his career outside of Puerto Rico. And this happens to a lot of artists that come from Puerto Rico. They can't survive just of Puerto Rico, you know, as a platform.
As their fame. I mean, look at Nicky Jam. I mean, he messed up too.
Well, yeah,
he
that's another story.
But
we have to talk about that one day.
Yeah, but his rise to fame came from Colombia.
Right.
And then he got back in the good graces because he was a joke.
Absolutely, he was.
He was a joke, right?
But he made that for himself.
Right,
that's another story.
Right.
But for example, for Huayna,
Miss
like
Nikki.
Yo, the shade.
Mira, you did that to yourself.
Ooh.
Okay.
Let's leave that for episode 5.
Okay.
No, but for Huayna, I think is he's a big artist. Like he can go to other countries and he's number one, right? And because none of his songs are actually not making it, but they're not like
charting.
They're not charting in Puerto Rico. People are like, oh, está pagado. Like you're just, you just did rebota and that's it.
Right.
And he has a lot of big hits.
I mean,
with
he also
different
dropped
artists.
that Christmas project when he was singing Lobo Domesticado.
Yep.
Like he has like little small EPs that he's thrown out.
Yep.
But to his point, like it's really, really hard to break it in a very small country, right? That's being vied for so many things. So even you said it, like you growing up there, you were listening to top 40 music.
I was. Right.
You weren't really tuned into the cultural music scene,
I could,
it was
but
like
it wasn't
some
like
other thing, right?
I could, but it wasn't like okay, that's my go-to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I would listen to it because it was the thing that you would hear it everywhere. But it wasn't like my go-to.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and to this, I also want to jump into the globalization of a big artist and giving other artists a shine and a platform, right? Like, so we've talked about Bad Bunny a lot. So one of the major things that I think is really, really cool, especially with his last album, thank you, as I take a mental pause and set this up, is that a lot of the influence on the album, not the island, on the album is a bomba and plena and old
like
roots,
roots.
our like music of our abuelitos, to be very, very honest. So there's this guy on the Clock app named Fred_Ucation. So Freducation. Listen,
She just called TikTok
the Clock app. Yes, on the Clock app, and he's basically going to go into the genius level of marketing of this company. And the fact that this global superstar has given light to this artist to be put on this platform.
Yep.
So for education, dale.
Somebody's got to give the marketing team here like a raise or something, but bear with me as we get to the end of this, you'll see what I mean. But first, let's talk about the chain reaction, the ripple effect that begins with Bad Bunny and then heads into Debí tirar una foto, and from Debí tirar una foto, we go to Café con Ron, which features Los Pleneros de la Cresta, who were virtual unknowns, until now, where they are sponsored by Coors Light.
Nosotros somos Los Pleneros de la Cresta. Y hoy sales de aquí tocando el Guiro Cooler. Primero, asegúrate de tener un buen agarre, que te sientas cómodo. Tócalo por primera vez para que conozcas su sonido. Para un ritmo básico, piensa en el galope del caballo. Pacatá, pacatá, pacatá.
Pacatá, pacatá, pacatá. Ey, 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 ey.
Se le sale la cultura.
Recuerda que puede ser tuyo si participas. Tómalo, chill.
El Guido Cooler. Yo, that's genius.
That is genius.
That's
That
super
is
genius. That is super genius. First of all, I want one for my dad because I'm not a beer drinker.
I want one for myself.
I'm not a beer drinker, but to this is what I wanted to get into, Josie. That is why DEI is so fucking important.
Absolutely.
The marketing team, whether it's Coors Light Latin, division, they tapped into this right here is something trending.
Yep.
Oh, you know what's really big right now in Puerto Rico? Not just this artist, but their platform, Los Pleneros de la Cresta. Oh, you know what's like a staple from Puerto Rico? The Guido.
The Guido.
You know that they got their own beer there and we want to compete with them because La Medalla is de Puerto Rico, right?
Yep.
So let's give them the competition. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to make it in the form of a Guido. So now it's a collector's item. Freaking genius.
It's connecting with the audience.
MLB. Échate pa' acá. Maybe if you had some Spanish-speaking people on your team, you would have known that if you put TATA on a freaking...
Damn! I didn't know you were going to go there!
on a freaking baseball cap, it spells tatas.
Tetas.
No, right, they put T-A-T-A. Tatas.
Yeah, tatas, yeah.
Tatas are boobies. So if you at least had one Spanish-speaking person who would have been like, that don't make sense. Now you had to recall these fucking hats.
No, mind you, they're being sold on eBay
Diablo.
for $1,000. Okay? It's crazy.
Because they got pulled. So
Yes.
now it's like, I want to make sure that this joke stays around because y'all
Exactly.
are fucking idiots. Because you are a joke. That's why you need
We
diverse
love Yellow Bee.
workers on your freaking
You can sponsor a
team.
podcast, please.
No. You have too many Spanish-speaking people in your major league for
do.
you not to know that. Y'all literally import Dominicans from the island to be on everybody's
But you have
team.
to give a little bit of context of what happened. Because this is... So, it's a hat for the Texas MLB for Major League Baseball here in the U.S. They did their new logo and their new hat for their team. They wanted to be very creative. And what they did is they put the T of the Texas representing Texas.
It is tetas, not tatas.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's the whole thing, that it says tetas instead of Texas. So they changed the X in Texas for a T to represent the team, the Texas Rangers.
Yes.
So and if you see the hat and you have it on, if you see the hat literally says tetas.
Right.
So now, it got
being
recalled.
sold for $598, bro, on eBay. That's wild.
I saw a couple ones for $1,000.
Wild.
Because it's just crazy how this made it out.
Right.
And
where's
they got
the quality
sold.
assurance? Like, you're
But I don't think
telling
it was
me-
MLB. I think it was the company that does the hats that is New Era.
Okay.
So, sorry, MLB.
My bad, MLB. My bad. For a little bit. I said what I said, though. New Era. Come to the front. Come to the class and show your work. Because you sat there quiet when I called out your little classmate.
You're
So
right.
Come to the front. But yeah, that's why diversity is... You're telling me nobody on the production, nobody in the rooms was like, you know what that spells?
Right.
Boobies in Spanish.
Right.
We can't put that in a state that is ultra conservative.
That's what I was going to say. It's Texas, and the population of Hispanics in that state alone.
Mind you, that state is the size of a country.
Come on.
Like, y'all are wildin'. So for that, I say it is so important. Kudos to Coors Light. Please don't come out here and embarrass me. Because corporations. But I think that was Miller Lite. That they platformed the transgender girl from TikTok too. Maybe
You got me there.
It was either Miller Lite or Coors Light, but there are some companies that are being very progressive, and it was really, really dope. So kudos to the marketing team at Coors Light. That's how you do something right. That's how you bring and tie in the culture that isn't racist, that isn't
But they connected with the culture.
Right, but that also isn't cartoonish.
No.
That you're saying, hey, this is super important to you. Right. They took the time. They did their research.
Correct.
They said, let's do something that makes sense, right? Because if they see the attention to detail, they're going to be more inclined to purchase. Like, it's even when, like, Nike does a collab with Puerto Rico. Like, the last year's sneakers were... The old San Juan ones were so dope.
They were.
So dope. But again, right? It wasn't just some domino slapped on the tongue.
Right.
It was attention to detail to the culture, right? And so please hire folks that are qualified, that are diverse, that are equitable, to be included. Please, it is important because now you're recalling all this stuff.
Wildly.